Today, we're traveling across Bolivia, from the border at Lake Titicaca through the chaotic beauty of La Paz, along the death-defying roads and sweeping salt flats, right down to the wild border with Argentina. It's a land of high altitude, wild landscapes, and unforgettable people. We crossed into Bolivia from Peru at the little lakeside border of Lake Titicaca. It was a pretty easy crossing, no drama, no delays, and before long we found ourselves in the lakeside town of Copacabana. I have such fond memories of Copacabana. This was my second time here. It's a small resort town nestled along the shore with beautiful bays, green trees, and those incredible views out over the lake. You're standing at over 4,000 meters here, but you don't really feel it at first. I have a few photographs from out on the water. You can see the town stretched along the lake edge, the sun setting, the dark shapes of the buildings against the glowing water. Absolutely stunning. Leaving Copacabana, we cycled along gently rolling roads, the lake always nearby. No oxygen problems yet. I felt strong as we rode. Eventually, we reached the crossing where we had to load the car onto a raft. Not just any raft. These were old, rickety, brightly painted red and blue wooden rafts. Buses, full-size tour buses, were somehow loaded onto them as well. Carefully guided across the old planks that were definitely seen better days. We met a solo lady traveler who joined us for the crossing. Her niece and I rode our bikes onto the raft ahead of the car, and we slowly floated across. Passing the other rafts, seeing two giant buses balancing precariously on worn-out wooden platforms, was an amazing sight I'll never forget. It's amazing they made it across at all. Once across, we followed the lake for a while. We passed traditional reed boat makers, these beautiful canoes shaped with the ends curled up like horns, built entirely from the reeds along the shore. Centuries of craftsmanship still alive today. Eventually, we rolled into the chaos of La Paz. La Paz is the world's highest capital city, tucked deep in a valley with red brick houses carpeting the hillside. Coming in from the airport, which is even higher than the city itself, you literally drop down into the valley. It's a dramatic sight. Walking around La Paz isn't easy. It's up and down hills everywhere, and at this altitude, every step feels like a climb. But the old colonial plazas, the bustling markets, and the women in their traditional layered skirts and bowler hats, they give La Paz a unique spirit. I captured lots of photos of the street life, ladies in the plaza, the red brick houses, even buildings decorated with beautiful mirrors that shimmered in the sunlight. Here we are out in the middle of Bolivia. We left La Paz and I'm heading for the Great Salt Flats of Bolivia. One of the things that I've been looking forward to for 5 years since I was on there on a tour, and I met a German fellow riding his bike there. So we're on that way. We'll be there in, I think, 4 days, and looking forward to the journey down there. Talk to you later. From La Paz, we tackled the famous Death Road, the old highway into Yungas. We started at about 5,200 meters, high up in the snow-capped mountains. The first few minutes, you could barely feel your fingers, and then we dropped, hour after hour, into lush green valleys. Today, it's mostly deserted for traffic, replaced by a safer highway, so we had the gravel road almost to ourselves. A few farm trucks were here and there. I had some fantastic shots from that ride. Looking down into the valleys, the whole group of cyclists perched on a cliff edge, the green sweeping away below us. Another little side trip took us to the Moon Valley, where wind and rain have carved strange pillars and formations. Walking along them felt like stepping onto another planet, the earth sculptured into towers and walls by time itself. I got a handful of photos of the Moon Valley, sharp, dry, and beautiful. Then we hit the high plains, flat, wide country, dotted with little mud brick villages. The houses here are made of simple red mud, warm in the winter, cool in the summer. We wandered through lively markets, colorful fruits, hanging meats from llamas, tomatoes, pineapples, and quinoa. In one photo series, I caught a husband and wife performing the traditional quinoa windowing, tossing the grain into the air to let the wind blow through the shaft. Out on the open road again, we stumbled across a line of little huts. It turned out these were cheese stalls. Local women sat sheltered from the wind, waiting patiently for someone to stop and buy. We tasted their cheeses, a wonderful stop in the middle of nowhere. The landscape turned dry and harsh, flat, brown grasslands, occasionally dust cyclones spinning across the open plains. There were llamas grazing along the roadside, dusty little creeks, tiny towns selling warm beer on tables set out in the sun. Slowly the scenery changed. Again, distant mountains, barren craters, hints of white along the horizon. We pulled into a small town built of red mud bricks and found a beautiful built salt hotel. Floors, walls, and even the beds partially constructed from blocks of salt. The next day was a special one, crossing the great empty basin towards Salar de Uyuni, the largest salt flats in the world. We set off across a rough, isolated track. No trees, just a few scattered villages and cactus bushes clinging to the dry hillsides. Bernice got a flat tire out there, a true team effort to fix it. In some places, the sand got so deep we had to push the bikes. But the reward. We crested a hill and there it was, a vast, blinding white sea of salt stretching to the horizon. We reached Uyuni, another small, dusty town, and again stayed in a hotel built almost entirely from salt. Even the tables in the dining room were solid blocks of it. Then came the big ride, onto the salt flats themselves. At first, it's disorientating. It looks like frozen snow. But once you get riding, you realize the salt is firm and bumpy, but grips the tires well. Expanses of pure white all around. We headed to the famous cactus island, Isla Inca Hushayati, easy for me to say, rising up and out of the salt like a shipwrecked mountain. I'd been there years ago with Gloria and had dreamed of coming back by bike, and now here we were. We wandered among giant cacti, towering above the flats, ancient and proud. Down at the bottom, school children on a field trip swarmed around their bikes, laughing and posing for photos. We took some fun shots too, sitting on the salt, pretending to balance bikes in the distance, those classic salt flat perspective tricks. We visited the old Salt Hotel, turned into a museum, with its famous forest of world flags waving wildly in the wind, and a giant llama sculptured made of salt. After leaving Uyuni, we plunged back into the barren highlands. Sand drifts across the road, zone of protection, signs warning about the rare animals like the ray and the vicuna. We pushed through day after day of high passes, climbing to 4,200 meters, dropping to 3,800, climbing back again to 4,300. Wild, desolate country with colored hills and windswept plains. One special encounter was meeting the Happy family, a French family traveling in a huge German-style overland truck they'd built themselves. 4 kids homeschooling and living life on the open road. We also met a Swiss couple who were cycling, fully loaded down, grinding up those crazy Bolivian hills. Eventually, we reached the town of Potosi, only to find the car battery dead after a night of charging electronics. Joanna had to sleep in the car while we sorted it out. But Potosi gave us a rest day, and we found a funky restaurant packed with American-style oddities hanging from the ceiling. Leaving Potosi, we ran into a road blockade, a peaceful protest demanding better medical care. At first, the women of the town refused to let anyone pass, not even bikes. But after hours of patient talking, mostly Gloria sweet-talking the different groups, they finally let us through, understanding that we were not a commercial tour, but just a small team raising money for bicycles for kids back in Panama. And finally, we made it to the border with Argentina. It was chaos. Hundreds of marching bands waiting to cross, drums and uniforms and trumpets everywhere. Luckily, Julie worked her charm and got us tucked in with a group of young guys, helping us fast-track across the border. Looking back, Bolivia was wild, tough, unforgettable. The landscapes were harsh but stunning. The salt flats, riding across them under a wide-open sky, were a dream come true. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the rest of our Southern American journey. And for my social media, check out Linktree/OctoOdyssey.